And going through conversations with our kids, as men, we're men, but we're also human as well too. So every conversation won't be like this calm and cool and collected, right? So I just want to be clear, because even we sometimes fall back into the old programming, right? The way we grew up or the way our parents did things. The good thing is that we catch ourselves. We catch ourselves, and then we can regroup, and we can apologize and be accountable for our tone. A lot of times.
Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think now we can be accountable for how we speak versus how we grew up, and thinking back, did our parents ever apologize?
Great question. So that takes me back to something that you always say in our conversations that we have. Being self-aware, right? Being aware of who you are, being aware of where you came from, and being aware about what you're saying, how it's going to affect the person that's receiving it. Because for me, communication is not the mouthpiece, it's about how is someone receiving what you're saying, what are they listening to, right? So it's just being self-aware. So if I'm talking to my kids about something they did that was against how they were raised, or something they did, let's use the word wrong, okay? Something that they did was wrong, right? I'm talking to them about them, and I notice my tone is more aggressive, more like accusing, more something that's just it's not approving, right? It's not educating, it's not edifying, it's more talking down to them. Just not my words, but my tone.
Right.
Because the tone can be just as bad as the actual words, right?
Yep.
So for me now, I'm more self-aware in like what I'm saying, how it's affecting someone's mood or affecting how they feel. Because if they get defensive, they're not listening to anything I'm saying anyway, right? So,
but is that because of growth, or is it because it was something that you saw in the house, or was it?
No, it's 100% growth. 100% growth, because I grew up the opposite. Right. My mom's 5'2", little woman, and I used to get bombed on my chest all the time. Pop, pop, pop. Right.
Yep.
It's like it's get bombed on, but
and it hurt.
it hurt. I'm like, how someone so little got pack so much power, right? So, but then also I watched her grow, because that's how she grew up, right? So I watched her change and modify and become someone different. So even with me, when we do certain things, we know if it's I mean, use the words right or wrong, or if it's how we grew up, or if it's from our new being, right? So it's definitely growth. But then again, in that growth and being a leader, growth is hard, man.
Yeah.
It's hard because you're accustomed to a certain way of living and how you grew up for years, right? And I believe that true leaders are the ones who can really change who they are to become better, that can grow.
Yeah.
You can change and go backwards.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
But true leadership are the ones that step up and move through the pain of change with grace, but also with authority, and knowing that, this is uncomfortable, it's going to hurt, it's going to be painful, but I know if I do this, it's going to get me to this next level. Or that goal is so far away, but I know if I do X, Y, and Z, I'll get there a lot faster. It's going to be painful.
Right.
It's going to be uncomfortable. I think people don't talk about men as leaders. I think we don't change or grow because it's so uncomfortable and we're so scared of the pain, right?
That's valid.
And there's so much more on the other side of your pain if you just walk through it and go through it and not sit in it and not just settle for what you have. All right, that makes sense?
It makes sense. It makes sense. And I think that you should always strive for more. When you strive for more, you do better.
Yeah.
So when you want better, you do better. It's just, I think that's when we're talking about being a good leader or being an effective leader. You should honestly know that your growth and your learning is ongoing.
Right.
Like how you said you learned from your mom. as she grew. But that means as she got older, she was growing and changing. And that meant you were watching and growing and changing with her, thus affecting your parenting skills moving forward. So your kids are watching you now. They're watching you later even more, because they want to know what they're going to turn out to be. You know, am I going to be like this when I get older? Ooh, no, I don't want that. Or do you want them to say, am I going to be like that when I get older? You know, so we're always, as fathers, we're always going to be an image in our kids' eyes, whether we think they're looking or not, whether we think they're paying attention or not. So my question to the fathers and the soon-to-be fathers are, what are your kids seeing? You know, what are your kids seeing in you? What do you versus what you want them to see?